Welcome to another episode of Not Scrum Dumb Podcast. I am your co-host, Andriana Marshall, and professional Scrum trainer. That is my amazing co-host.
Grand Storm Master Scott.
And in this video, we are going to really introduce ourselves to you so you can get to know who we are and our background, why we became professional Scrum trainers, and a few other fun facts about us. So let's start it. All right, Scott, what was your first job out of college?
First job out of college. Oh, wow. Believe it or not, Andriana, I was a debt collector at Equifax. Woo! You probably remember, some people probably know of Equifax as a credit bureau, credit report agency. So yeah, I was sitting in like a call center, calling people saying, "Hey, you owe $7,000 on your Mastercard, you owe $20,000 on your Visa, you owe $50,000 on your Mastercard." And I did that for a whole year after school. And every day I went to work, I'm thinking, like, I went to school, got a degree for this. But that was my very first job out of college. What about
There are
yourself? What
so
was your
many
first
people
job?
mad at you. Before we get to me, there are people that are mad at you right now, Scott. They're like, I can't believe this guy was doing that. He's one of those. But of course, no one that we know has ever been called by a debt collector. So, no one watching this podcast has ever experienced that.
Adriana, what was your first job out of college?
Yeah, my first job was an executive assistant to a chief technology officer at a technology company. And this company, we worked with different schools and stuff like that. So she really wanted someone to help her like run her programs and projects, not really someone that's going to get her coffee, but someone that can be more of like an extension of her. It was really interesting because I applied for basically their sister company, got interviewed with them, and basically on the spot they told me I'm not getting the job. And it was so like gut wrenching. They were like, "We love you, you're amazing, but no, we think you'll be bored with this job, with this other job." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe they loved me and I got rejected like on the spot." It was like the craziest thing I'd ever experienced. And so they said they would call me. I thought, yeah, sure. So I started applying to other jobs, and lo and behold, they called me, and it turned out to be a really great thing because that's how I got started in technology as an executive assistant.
Wow. I'm glad you finally answered that question because I remember we was on some podcast where, it's recorded and that look that was on my face when you said that. And I'm like,
A
what?
few episodes back.
Yeah. What? Executive assistant? What? Nice. But
Yeah.
great lead into technology. Beautiful.
Yeah, necessary. It's not easy to break in, and that's how I was able to do it. So, Scott, how were you introduced to Scrum?
Through a class I was taking. I was at Villanova University, and this is the time where I have to renew my Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. And since I got the certification originally from Villanova University, quite naturally, I have to go back and recertify from Villanova. So I've taken all the classes they have that I can for that certification, and they had this class called Agile Management. In fact, the name was Essential Principles of Agile Management. So I'm like, well, I don't know what that is. That'll be something cool. That'll be something different. So I took that class, not knowing what in the world it was. All I knew, I needed some professional development credits so that I can renew my Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. So I did that, and about it's an 8-week program. So about 4 weeks into it, come across this thing called Scrum. I was like, what in the world is that? And I'd never heard of that. And, I've been introduced to a lot of methodologies and a lot of frameworks in my life. And at that particular point in time, I had never heard of Scrum. So I was curious. At the time, it was 19 pages, and I had to do an assignment for class. So part of the assignment was reading the Scrum Guide, 19 pages long. I read it, and the first time I read it, it reminded me of two things. I said, wow, this reminds me of kindergarten class. Wow, this reminds me of the scientific method. I said, interesting. And I just dropped it. I was just finishing class. And at the time, I had my own business, which Platinum Mobile Group, where I was going around selling text marketing to, businesses and really whoever would buy it. My biggest customers was actually churches. So I had the short code 90210 Yeah, gonna be going out there to 90210 here in a week or two. I'm looking forward to that. So text whatever, your name, your donation, your company to 90210 was what I was doing at the particular time. And I said, wow. So I'm in school at Villanova University learning about this framework. I'm like, wow, I was using traditional project management to deliver and come up with these projects. So I said, wow, let me just try this with my own company and see if I can't run projects better. So I used this framework and agile methodology to try to help me out in my own business because I will create requirements. I will build stuff for customers exactly like they want. I would fly out to Seattle, Washington, and show the pink lady on the motorcycle. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then in what Minnesota, what in Wisconsin, they have what that loud. It's like a motorcycle, blue, 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 blue. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So I would fly out and show them exactly what I created for them, exactly as per their requirements. And we in the boardroom, and then all of a sudden they say, we don't want that. What? I built exactly what you want. And I knew there was another way. So I said, well, let me just try this agile and the scrum thing and see how it can help me in my business. Now, the book that we read in that class was called Becoming Agile. So that was kind of like a how to do an agile transformation guide. So I read the book, I would read the book and implement stuff in my own company, read some more of the book, implement some stuff in my own company. And I thought I was doing a great job. So that was my introduction to Scrum. And first of all, applying it to my own personal life, applying it to my business, and actually learning it in school. But of course, I didn't know what I thought I knew at that particular time. What about you, Andriana? How were you introduced to Scrum?
Yeah, fortunately, at the exact same company. So a few months later, the CTO hired a director of engineering. And he was like, I really don't understand where we're at with anything. There's no transparency. It's like a black box here, which, by the way, had been everything our stakeholders had previously said. He had the idea of us starting to use Scrum. He got a trainer in there like a few weeks later. So at this point, I had been working less than like 4 months maybe 4 or 5 months at this job. And yeah, got trained in Scrum, had no idea what it was really excited just to learn something new and be able to work with the engineers directly. I initially wasn't the Scrum Master, but I had an opportunity to learn. I had an opportunity to grow and watch someone else do it, and then learn from their success and learn from their failures, and then implement it with another team at the organization, and then eventually take over like all the teams that were part of the engineering org. All right, Scott, why did you become a Scrum Master?
Why did I become a Scrum Master? Well, following along with the story from the previous question, now I have sold Platinum Mobile Group. I was in business for myself and I decided to go back into corporate America. And, after being an entrepreneur, I'm like, okay, cool. What am I going to do? Well, I've learned this agile and scrum thing. So maybe I go be a scrum master because up until that point in time, I was the product owner. I said, well, I think my personality is more aligned as the scrum master. So a friend of mine worked for a huge retailer and said, hey, um, we have an opening for a project manager slash scrum master at this huge retail. And I took it and I liked it. But I had a culture shock. Why? Because remember, I implemented Scrum in my own company. So I had total autonomy in terms of read the book, read exactly what the Scrum Guide says, and implement it in my company. So when I went to work for this other company, I'm like, what the freak? You doing what? We do Scrum and Agile. On the breaks, I was like, really? That's not what I read. That's not what I've been doing for the last few years in my own company. That's what I'm saying in my mind. So I said, well, there's a huge disconnect in terms of Scrum being used in corporations. Like, wow, this would be cool if I can make a career out of this. So I began to work there, and but I was mostly doing project management. Remember, I had a hybrid role, project manager hat, and also Scrum Master. Same role, same title. So, but I was working mostly more so as a project manager. But here's the deal: in this big retail company, you're only a project manager for 9 months out of the year. The last 3 months, it's around the holiday season, it's around Christmas time. We have to be in the store and work with everybody else because that's the biggest season of retail for this big retailer, right? So I didn't have no problem. I knew about that. So I'm into the store, and here was the deal breaker for me when I hung up my project manager hat and decided I'm only going to be a Scrum Master. I'm not going to do dual roles anymore. So I had an aunt that died around Thanksgiving time. And I went and asked my boss. Now, if you're in a retail environment around the holiday season, pretty much the only way you're going to get off in a retail environment is if somebody died, which I perfectly expected that. I knew that going into it. But hey, my aunt died. She's been a very good part of my life, and I wanted to go pay my respects. I went to my boss and asked, knowing it was a 50-50 chance that I may or may not be able to go. And he said no. And I was perfectly fine with that. But I'm in a store, remember, working as a store employee. My full-time job as a project manager and a scrum master. So a customer came in the store and asked a question. I couldn't answer, so I went to look for the store manager. I said, "Hey, where's store manager so and so?" He's not here. I checked back an hour later. "Hey, where's store manager so and so?" He's not here. "Where's store manager so and so?" I asked somebody else. "Oh, he's gone. He won't be back till next week, and Thanksgiving is tomorrow." What? I'm like, "What happened?" "His dog died." I say, "What? You mean like his wife named Dog, his child named Dog?" "No, Scott, his dog died." I was like, "Whoa." And I just asked him a few days ago if I can go pay my respects to my aunt. I said, "Okay." And that was the moment I said, "Okay, cool. I'm not going to do this project management thing anymore. And I'm going to work on my own terms." That was the decision I made in 2017. That was in Thanksgiving 2017. In 2018, I wrote down on a piece of paper that I'm going to go work as a Scrum Master full time. Because as a project manager, I was only making like $80,000, $90,000 a year. And when I started researching the salaries for a Scrum Master, I saw immediately that the average annual salary was $125,000. So I'm like, hey, I can give myself a raise. And if I do this thing right, like I incorporated in my own business, I should have an awful lot of free time on my hands. So I'm doing this for two reasons. One, to buy my time back and my freedom back, because as you can see, I have a family member that died and I couldn't go pay my respects because of the industry that I'm in. We'll never make that mistake again. The second thing, and the number one thing I got into this industry was because of the money. I'm very honest, I'm very transparent about that. Some videos I've already put out. I got into this business because of the money and also the time of freedom. So when I saw that $125,000 for doing that, and as a project manager, I was busy from the time I got up, from the time I went to bed at night. That was my day. And when I was working as a scrum master at my own business and implementing scrum in my own business, everybody around me, we didn't work 8 hour, 10-hour days. We was done in really about 6 hours from when we transform over from project management methodology. It's like, okay, I ain't doing something right here. So that is why I became a scrum master, why I stay a scrum master. It's a topic for another day. Andriana, why did you become a scrum master?
Yeah, for me, it was the most logical thing at the time. I was a project coordinator. It didn't seem like that was something that I wanted to continue being. There was a lot more consistency with Scrum, transparency, our stakeholder engagement was significantly better. They had a better understanding. I had a better understanding of how work was getting delivered, and it just felt great. And then the metrics were there to back the success of it all. At my company, that was the easiest and most efficient way to transition from a project coordinator was to a scrum master. Plus I had all those skills. I had the ability, the leadership. I played sports my entire life, so leadership was something that you're basically taught from 5 years old, and how to be one, how to work as a team, how to coach, how to mentor people, teaching, respecting one another, having courage, openness, all the values and so forth. So it just made sense based on my personality and skill set that I would transition. And of course, like, if you want career growth, you have to be looking around the marketplace. What's going to be the best for my career? And this was definitely the best for my career. But also, I really enjoyed it based on my skill set and how I could impact the team without being an actual software developer. All right, Scott, what's a fun fact about you?
A fun fact. Probably say most people are shocked when I tell them that I'm a grill master and I show them my grill. I have, like, for those of you in the audience have never seen it before, I used to go around the country competing in terms of cook-offs and things like that. I just love outdoor cooking. I mean, my ultimate dream house was, I probably would spend more time outside than inside. I hate cooking inside the house, but I can stay outside cooking all day long, briskets, ribs, and stuff like that. So, fun fact about me, I just love the grill, love experiment with different types of foods, barbecue sauces, different type of flavors, different types of meat. I mean, you name it, I have grilled it. And I even love grilling vegetables as well. I mean, I love grilled cabbage from people who've had that. Oh, I've even tried grilled pickle. Some people have had. I've tried like fried pickle at the fairs and places like that offer that. I tried a grilled pickle one time, and that was actually pretty good. So just like experimenting with food, with grilled food. What about you, Andriana? What is a fun fact about you?
Yeah, so I'll go with my sneaker collection. So I used to work at Nike. I worked there for about a year and a half, and I walked away with over 50 pair of sneakers. One of my favorite pair of sneakers would probably have to be the like Jordan 11 Retro, like the Jubilee 25th anniversary. I love those ones. Love that one. Um, I think also I'm blanking on the name right now, but the LeBrons that have the lion on the back of them, they're white. They were presented at New York Fashion Week, so it was a pretty big deal. And I got that for like a steal, basically. So
Awesome. Nikes. Yeah, I've seen that shoe collection. I remember and one day we was on a call, and in the background it was like it appeared to be from floor to ceiling,
it
nothing but
was,
Nikes.
yeah.
So,
There
and
was
that-
one row, there was like several rows of just Nike. And then, I do have some other things other than Nike shoes. I have some heels, I have some boots, some sandals, all the girly stuff. But people are probably more interested and more impressed by the Nike shoe collection than anything else. So I usually talk about that one over the other shoes. But yes, it's like too many. They don't all fit in my closet. Um, it's pretty ridiculous. I did give away some shoes. That's how, and I don't even miss them. Didn't even notice it. That's how many shoes I have. So yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's awesome. I love it.
All right. So why did you become a professional Scrum trainer, Scott?
Well, I think me becoming a professional Scrum trainer was actually um, a normal progression for me. Because remember in 2017, I decided I was going to make a career change and leave project management and get into Scrum. So I knew that a couple of things I had to do. I had to, for example, as I was looking at all these job descriptions, I have to get a certification. That was one thing I had to do. And I started reading 4 hours a day. I read the Scrum Guide every day in 2017, and I haven't stopped ever since. Um, so that's all part of my strategy to get into the space as a Scrum Master. Let me go back and highlight that for you. I was already studying 4 hours per day. Now, at that time, I only heard of something called the CSM certification, Certified Scrum Master. So I got that certification February. That's 2 or 3 months after December. And when I got there, I really didn't learn anything new because I was already studying 4 hours a day. But Andriana, here's the deal. Now, I've been an event planner at some time in my life, where, you throw like a party. I've had like Luther Vandross when he was alive. I've done stuff like with Prince and throw these parties. And when you're an event planner like that, one thing that you do when you go to these venues is count the number of heads. So
Gotcha.
I'm
But
sitting there.
that should have been your fun fact. What? Prince? Hello.
so so I'm sitting there in that class, and I really can't enjoy the class because I'm counting all the heads that are there, because it was 30 people there, which means that was $30,000 on the table. And this woman that just got finished saying that she just flew in from France or from Germany, and I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm like, wow, that's a cool lifestyle. I would love to have a lifestyle like that. So that planted the seed. At that point in time, I still hadn't decided. Being a professional Scrum trainer didn't even cross my mind. I knew that I wanted to do some type of teaching and training. It wasn't necessarily a professional Scrum trainer. Now, by June of that year, I got my job and I met this guy named Damian Lee. He was a Scrum master at this company I was working with. And he told me, Uh, I was talking to him. He was a Scrum master. You know how when you in the companies, you talk to your peers and y'all share things. So I was like, hey man, I'm thinking about being a trainer. Oh, you should go to scrum.org. Scrum. Who? I said, I just got my certification in Scrum Alliance. Scrum, who is, oh, Scrum.org is the best. I said, the best? How are they the best? And I don't know about them. It can't be the best if I don't know about them. So he told me all this spiel about Scrum.org. Shout out to Damian Lee from Chicago. He's the one that got me in the professional Scrum trainer track with Scrum.org, because I was actually thinking about going Scrum Alliance because that was the only one that I knew. I didn't, as you can see, I didn't know Scrum.org existed. So we talked for about an hour, and he talked about Scrum.org so passionate. They the best. They this. You can do self-study. You can go whatever, whatever. I mean, he just knew his stuff. And after that conversation, I went to go do my due diligence. And I looked at the curriculum like, whoa, yeah, this is going to be a difficult process. Ooh. Yeah, the other process I was looking at, I figured about 6 months I can make this happen. Scrum.org, I figured it'll probably take me a year to get to that designation. But again, I'm still studying 4 hours a day. So still it was a natural progression. I'm like, well, I might as well. I'm already studying 4 hours a day. I'm already looking for other certifications. I'm the type of person I just like to be a master of my craft. So I said, why not go ahead and go to the top level so that I can be like that class? Now I'm thinking about that class. Now here it is. It's probably November of 2018. And I'm thinking about that class I took back in February where there was like 30 people in there. $30,000 was on the table. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. So I said, that would be nice. That'd be a nice retirement account. That'd be something nice where, hey, I can go work on my own wheel. And going back to that big retail I was talking about earlier. So if I meet another boss like that, I asked to be off to go see my aunt and I can't get off, but yet you can take off to go see your damn dog, pay your respects to your dog. I can walk out that day and never ever have to put myself in that situation again. So I said, okay, cool. I'm gonna do any and everything that I can do to make sure I build a fortress around my career, a financial fortress around my family. And being a professional Scrum Master was a part of that thought process and that equation. What about you, Adriana? Why did you
All right,
become a
hold on.
professional Scrum
Can
trainer?
we go back a little? Let's can we, you have to have another reason other than money because it is a long
Money.
process and we don't have 30 people per class.
Yeah. Natural
Money was
progression
your
and
only
money.
reason?
Natural progression and money. That's it. Natural, because I mean, you don't have to you don't have to be a professional Scrum trainer to teach a Scrum.org to teach a Scrum course. I mean, there's a lot of black market uh, places out
Yeah,
there.
but that's what
I
I'm
just
saying.
wanted
Because like the money, like you could probably go and
yeah,
have more students in a black market one.
right. Well, there is another reason, and that reason now, on the other side of that. So remember, I started because of the money. Why do I stay in the game? I think that's where you kind of pushing me towards. So why I stay in the game is there's a lot of companies and a lot of individuals doing Scrum wrong. So, this is part of my mission as to why I stay in it now. And we'll get to that in terms of the next question. Why did you, Adriana, become a professional Scrum trainer?
I knew I wanted to become a professional Scrum trainer the first time I ever got trained. I talked to my mom. I was like, I like how this guy just showed up to our organization, helped us out for a day, was like our little 1 day guru, and left. I was like, I like that aspect of like the challenge of going to organization to organization to organization, understanding their problem and helping them along the way. So not necessarily more less of like a 1 day thing for me, but I like the aspect of actually going helping someone fix their scrum, so to say, to solve
Mhm.
their problem, to really dig in and get better as a scrum team and as an organization. That for me, I like the change. I like the consistent challenge. That keeps me interested and motivated. So that's why I knew from the very beginning The other thing is, and at that time it was also Scrum Alliance as well. So then the pandemic hit and it was like, okay, here's an opportunity. I'm now working from home. I have the ability to study more. I'm saving time commuting 2, 3 hours a day. That's now cut. So I have the ability to study more, learn, grow, and get through this process. So it's certainly not an easy process. That's why I was like, okay, there's always a deeper why because you have to keep going. And it is like running your own business. So it's not an easy journey. And that's my answer.
No, I love it. No, I totally agree. It is not an easy journey. When I looked at that journey when I first before I even started, I'm like, yeah, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. By
Yeah.
far for me, the hardest thing. And I'm thankful for it in hindsight, but it is the most
Yeah.
excruciating thing I've ever done.
What's the
To
average time frame? I think it's 18 months. I mean, that has to be the longest job interview in the world.
Yes, 18 months indeed.
All right. Last question. Why did we start this channel? Scott, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I would do that. So kind of, for the audience, bringing everything together. Notice I've started, being 100% transparent with you. I got into this game because of the money. I hope that's the same. You can say the same thing. I hope that when you go to work, you're going to work for your money and try to provide the best opportunity for yourself and your family. Now, notice that I've gone through a transition. I got into this game because of the money, but while playing this game, I found my purpose. And what is that? Well, it's a lot of things. I've had the pleasure to partner up with the Europe, which is an organization that bridges the minorities and the skills opportunity gaps in all minorities. So I work in a lot of these places where I don't see a lot of people that look like me, sound like me, act like me. 5 years plus when I got into this here, corporation industry, coming from being an entrepreneur, I was like, wow, it'd be nice if I saw somebody, more people that look like me around here. And I began to think about ways in terms of how I can do that. And that ultimately became my mission as Agile Sphere Consulting. That was created just for that one purpose to, be a gateway, a bridge to, help more people come into IT, whatever. Scrum is just not in IT, just whatever space I'm in. If I can help somebody get into this space, I am going to do that because I believe that we can't build the best anything robust wise unless we have different perspectives from all walks of life, including color, including just different ethnicities and all that. We can't build the best anything until we have that. So that's what my passion is now, everything I do now. So this channel, why start this channel? It's this time to let the world know about this great thing that we doing in Adriana. So it's time just to let the world, not Scrum done. Let's talk about the name a little bit. Why this channel? So I talk to a lot of Scrum masters and peers, and our conversation is really like, well, that's Scrum Dumb. This company Scrum Dumb. They, what they doing is Scrum Dumb, and I don't want to offend anybody, but so that's why we chose the name, not Scrum Dumb. We don't want you to be Scrum Dumb, and we both are professional Scrum trainers. One of the things I enjoy about this channel is, hey, that we put stuff out there for people that they can use and actually apply and see a different result because this is a behavior game that we're playing. And unfortunately, most people don't understand that that's the game we're playing with Scrum and Agile. It is a behavior game. Yeah, we're going to use the process to help us get to our destination, but we're not going to get to our destination unless the behavior change. And when it comes to behavior, behavior is invisible. And I think the Scrum Master is the most important person to be able to highlight that behavior to the team so they can see a way of try to help the team go from wherever they are right here today to get them to that North Star of being a legendary team. And when you come to my class, I like to give the analogy Nanny McPhee. So if you ever watch that movie, that's my tip for you. Nanny McPhee will let you know what a legendary Scrum Master looked like. But also in that movie, if you look at the first Nanny that was on the scene before Nanny McPhee, That's what I see a lot of Scrum Masters doing. Secretary, scribe. And, we've put some videos out on that too. Make sure you go check those videos out. Yeah, we try to give you stuff because we don't want you to be a scribe. We don't want you to be the team secretary. We don't want you to be the team boss. We want you to be a legendary Scrum Master so that you can make change, so that the workplace can be a better workplace, the world can be a better world, and you can live the life that you have envisioned for you and your family, and create the workplace for you and your family, that when we're gone, that when our children come up and come in the workplace, that this workplace is conducive for everybody to unleash their superpower, like into kindergarten class. That's the image I have in my mind as I do my work. I'm trying to recreate the elements of a kindergarten class for the workplace. Andriana, what about you? Why did you start this channel? Why are you here?
Yeah, well, I think you said a lot of it. The only thing I would add is really providing quality content that is going to help people on their day to day in the workplace. Going to a class with us is 2 days or longer, depending on what type of class we have. But we want to stay connected with you. At the end of the day, we want to create a community and provide you high quality free content. That's why we put it on YouTube. We want to just put it out to the world so that you have something valuable that you can refer to. You have a question, you have an outlet to answer, and we're probably reaching people that we've never even had a class with. So it's a lot of power in putting this on the internet and spreading this knowledge to debunk a lot of the myths that are out there and to make sure that you don't just land the job, but that you have on the job success. That's the real key.
The other reason we started this channel is this time. We tired of people coming to our class talking about, hey, we asked the question always in the beginning, how did you hear about Scrum? TikTok. What? Why did you come to this class? Was another question. Well, I took another Scrum Master class last week. Well, why are you here? I mean, you just took another class last week. Well, I don't feel like I learned anything. Wow. And my heart goes out for people like that. You just spent $1,000 last week on getting some information that you thought was going to help you. And then here you are in my class paying $1,500 because we're not cheap. And my heart goes out for people like that. I'm like, wow, man. When I hear a student say that, it really my heart just drops. I'm like, wow, you just spent $1,000 for the same class supposedly last week. It was time for you and I to get out here, Andriana, and just put the right stuff out here for people to get.
Well, thanks for watching. We hope that you had a legendary experience watching us and that we're providing really valuable content to you. Please, if you do find it valuable, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you can get notifications. In the meantime, have a great day. Stay legendary.